Welcome everybody to our Mindfulness at Work, Transforming Stress into Well-Being program. So this program started about 2004. It was a meeting with Tartan Tulku Rinpoche, whose student I am, and I've been working with him since 1980, full time. And during that meeting, Rinpoche said that really the most important thing to share with people is how to reduce stress. And usually these short sentences are enough to make programs for 10 years. So to reduce stress has really become a central part of Dharma Publishing Academy's offering. We've tested this in organizations and businesses, nonprofits and individuals many times over. And now we decided to present it one more time and give people the opportunity to become trainers in this material and share it with others. So basically we're going to get excited about stress in all kinds of forms. And I'm very appreciative of the case studies. Many people have sent in case studies. So we will work with them over the course of this program. So this session is about an hour and a half, and we will have a short break in between. You will receive a little overview and some exercise and some practice. The Transforming Stress into Well-Being has its root in this book by Tartan Tulku, Skillful Means. And it originates in the idea that while we work, while we are active in our daily life, can we also develop our potential? Now, this might not be very important for everybody, but once you start getting into this topic, you will hear that when we are in a stressful situation, when we become stressed, the moment that we're becoming stressed, we're actually cutting off from our power. We're cutting off from our creative energy. We're cutting off from our inner potential. So yes, we're going to reduce stress and maybe we're going to transform stress, but the starting point is that you are not your stress. So when you feel stressed, if over the course of the next weeks you realize that, yes, I feel stressed, the situation is very stressful, but I'm not stressed, that will be a major accomplishment. So to make a separation between the real you and the stressed you. And most of us, when we are stressed, we forget that there is another part of us. The one that is quite successful at times, the one that is happy sometimes, that is joyful, that is creative, that wants to collaborate, that loves to work together with other people well. So to get back that link, instead of withdrawing in our I am stressed, then we come up in a small island and we become isolated. So the moment you say I am stressed, you close off all the doors to not being stressed. You close all the doors of the real you, if you like that word, the real you to come out. So the basis of this teaching is that there is a promise. There's a promise of life. There's a promise of our life. There's a promise. You being here is a promise. There's something you can do. There's something that you can contribute. You can develop yourself. You can understand yourself. And you can make what is your potential, the most, what you want out of life, to let that come forth. So stress is kind of in between. So how can we lessen this pressure of stress? That's what this program is. What is beautiful about this program is that it is based in the promise of your life, and that you can do it while you work, while you're in your activity. So you don't need to set time aside like now, except for now. But once we started, you can do this while you work, while you go about your daily life. So there is an interaction with yourself while you're going about your life. Now that's important. There will be an interaction between you and the stress, and between you and being upset, and between you and being excited. And so there is a kind of basis that we will cultivate. And then the stressful situations are being dealt with from the base. Yes, it's very stressful here. Yes, I'm aware that I'm getting very stressed, but there is one that is aware of that. And that's the mindfulness at work. To not forget yourself. So mindful really means to not forget. So mindful at work means to not forget yourself. So that the self can come to the foreground. You might say the authentic self or the real you. Because you begin to see that the stress is like bad weather. It is not you. Now, essential in this program is that the work we're doing is a friendly study. If you come with a mind that is judgmental about yourself and about everybody else, but about yourself, if you come with a guilty, if you come with resentment, if you admonish yourself all the time, then it's much, much harder. So part of our program, it's kind of sneaky. We introduce it without emphasizing it so much. So, but the result will be is that you are willing to look at your life without feeling bad about yourself. That's a measure. So if I see myself on film, like later on we look back at this, and I see myself say, oh my goodness, I'm so this and I'm so that. So then I can get upset about that and say, oh, I need to change that. I need to have a different face. I need to be all different to make it better. If I do this with a judgmental approach, then the judgmentalness becomes the foundation. But if I can do it with a friendly approach, like caring for this person who is stressed. So I'm caring for you, you say to yourself. So in my case, when I look at the film, can I care for that person that I see instead of judging him and worrying about my image? Or I know they say image is everything, but not in skillful means. Not in this program. The friendliness to become friends with yourself is essential. Now, if we make a program say, well, become friends with yourself, then that won't work. Because there's the one who's not so friendly with herself, and now you're going to try to bridge that. But we bring it into a whole new... It will sneak up on you. You will gradually become it. And yes, that may take some time. Because we have been conditioned already from being in the womb. All this time we have been conditioned. And we should be like this, we should not be like that. Something is told to us. We have heard many times no. And there's an atmosphere in the air that is stressful. So we've come to taken that for, well, that is normal. It's not. Stress is not normal. So our friendly approach, you will introduce to it. Like before you know it, you find yourself being more kind to what you observe. Because what you see is not who you are. The one who sees herself, that's the real you. Not what you see, but you're seeing yourself. That's your real you, seeing. Now, right from the beginning, number one is we will discover that you are not your stress. That's a major discovery. And the second one is a plea to tell yourself again and again that tension is normal but stress is not. So often we mistake tension for stress. So there's a lot of tension here. Wherever something needs to be accomplished, there will be tension in the air. Because it's the tension that will be manifested. Everything important, everything at your work, everything that needs to be done on time, there is some tension there. It's the tension of the deadline, the tension of the client, the tension of the limited resources you may have. So there's tension. But anything good, anything beautiful, anything meaningful, anything loving, anything caring is riding the energy of tension. If there was no tension, we would be a blob. There would be nothing coming out of us. We would be empty. We would basically be dead. So tension is what we are. Your nature is unfolding tension. Human being is unfolding tension. So the skillful means person, and this program comes from this approach of skillful means, the skillful means person thrives on tension, not stress. Now, tension is not always heavy and intense, but there is a creative impulse. There is something that wants to see the light of day. There's something that wants to come out. So there's tension. So tension provides opportunities, and tension provides possibilities. So we want to restore the experience of there are opportunities here, there are possibilities here, rather than, oh, it is so stressful. As soon as you say it is so stressful, you're kind of in a zone, we call that. We'll explain it later in the program. It's not the zone that you're in when you're running well and you seem to run without much effort, not that kind of zone. But you're kind of stuck, like you're in a net, a fishing net, and you can't get out. Like a fish, you're stuck. You can't get out anymore. So that's when you say, I'm stressed, it's very hard to come out. So a friendly attitude, a friendly awareness to begin to observe how you are in daily life and how, by responding stressful, how we're cutting ourselves off from our creative energy. So we are going to become different. You're still the same you, but your approach, your response, your participation is going to be different. So transforming stress into well-being, which we call TSW, is a path of transformation. You cannot expect that when you are stressed, that in that stressful situation, you can just simply click on a button or push a button and be stress-free. As somebody says, well, just give me practices to not have stress. It won't work like that. So the heart of the program is to establish a base of well-being. That's the basis. In Tartan Tulku's book, Dimensions of Mind, he spends a few chapters on that. When you get started, you always need to have a base of well-being. Now, when you're stressed, of course, you're disconnected from that. But by practicing this and hearing about it again and again, the basis of well-being will become established, because well-being is normal, is our regular way of being. So we're here at Ratnaling in California, and it's raining very, very hard. So you may hear the raindrops coming down on us. We like rain in California for a little bit, so there's no drought. So well-being is the basis. The second step is we're going to learn a new language. It's no big deal. It's very simple. It's so simple that you'll be surprised we don't give it more attention. So we will learn a new language. We will create a new home. Because when we are stressed, the stressful situations seems like quote-unquote home. You say, well, that's not my home. My home is at home, where maybe my family lives, and I have my animals, and I have a garden, and I have my friends. That's my home. No, but those situations are stressful too at times, simply because they may change. So there's another home that we're going to create. So number one is well-being. Number two, we're going to learn a new language. Number three is we're creating a new home. Number four is we will restore balance. That's the heart of the program, restoring balance in 4 ways. And finally, we will get a new orientation. So well-being is the basis. We're going to learn a new language, create a new home, restore balance, and create a new orientation. Now, as that is happening, you will feel at home with all of those because they are you. They belong to you. They are the natural habitat, the natural language. Who doesn't want to develop his or her inner voice? And the new language that we're learning brings you to your voice, not the voice of everybody else. Not the conditioned voices, not even the voice of the client. We will be open to the client, but it will not become our stress. We still have an inner voice. So everything that you learn in these 5 steps, they are natural. That's why they're so easy to learn. We just need to be reminded. And then the basic structure of our program is healing and integrating body, breath and mind. All right, let's do a short practice. So you can always practice that whenever you are, but it needs to get going. So because we don't do this usually, it is a little bit of work. And I wouldn't wait until you feel stressed. You do it now while we are sitting. We have nothing else to do now anyway, so let's do it. The most essential first step for well-being is to make sure that the breath goes down in the body. If you would check now, where is your breath? How deep is it going? If you're like us, the breath doesn't go much further than the upper chest. Where the breath doesn't go, that area doesn't participate in our active functioning. So if the breath doesn't go any lower than this, then our heart is not included, our solar plexus is not included, our abdominal area is not included, and these are major sources of energy and information. So the beginning of well-being is to begin to breathe deeper. We're not watching the breath very much, a little bit, but it's still the stressed person that says, oh yeah, I have to watch my breath. Yeah, it doesn't work. The breath needs to go in the body. So as you're sitting there, maybe you like to put your hand on your belly. When you breathe in, can your belly expand? Now most people will say, I don't have time for that. Yes, you do. You can be multitasking. So later on, you can do this while you work, while you are going about your daily life. So let the breath go down in the belly. When you inhale, the belly expands. When you exhale, the belly caves in. Now, if you had your hand on your belly at the beginning, why did your hand already leave your belly? See, there's some kind of pattern that doesn't make us stay concentrated. It's a pattern. So keep your hand there. Keep your hand on your belly. And by experiencing your hand on your belly, sooner or later you will calm down a little bit. Isn't it true when somebody is upset and you put a hand on their shoulder or on their back that they may feel calmer? Same is true for you. So feel the hand as the belly expands. So what happens is when the breath begins to go down into the body, there's more inner space being created. If you like to put your hand on the chest for a moment, if the belly is too far down, this is more intimate at first, your hand on your chest. If there's any location for your inner potential, well, it is everywhere, but it is located in the heart center, here, underneath your hand. So that area needs to relax. Now, you don't need to do this very long. So just sit still for a moment and see how deep the breath goes. Because what we're doing is we're just creating new patterns. The stress that we are in are based on patterns that cause the stress, not the content so much. The content triggers. The situation triggers. But there's a pattern energetically and perception that will steer us in the direction of stress. So we're creating a new pattern. Deeper breath. Now, number one is when the breath goes down in the body, we're creating more inner space. But what also happens when the breath goes down in the body, the mind, the mental activity, your attention is going down too. So the body and mind are coming together. That's the result of well-being practice, that mind and body are together. Stress means body and mind are not together. Stress means the breath doesn't go down in the body. Whenever you're stressful, your breath will tell you it's not going down. Of course you are stressed. Who wouldn't? That would be lovely if you could tell yourself, of course I'm stressed. My breath doesn't go down. My mind is here. My body is not experiencing anything except some anxiety. So number one is let the breath go down in the body. More inner space. Mind in the body. But where we're going with this is the foundation for well-being is body awareness. My awareness and my body are together. From the top down. So let's do one more thing. It's called 4 by 4 by 4. So you breathe in a little deeper. 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you release. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, you're manipulating the breath. Wait, and when it comes, make it deeper. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. And slow down, slow down. And again. There is no doubt that if you establish well-being, you become friends with yourself. You like yourself. You like life. There's a kind of happiness coming in and out during the day. And again, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. And release. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, while you do it a few more times, I like to tell you that the basic work is to change the energetic patterns and change the perception patterns. That's all. When we relax, the energy begins to flow. When you're tense, don't stop, 4 by 4 by 4. When you slow down, you create inner space, your energy begins to flow. A stressed person has no more flowing energy, only in the point of the fishing net. Oh, I'm so upset, so overwhelmed, there's so many things, so there's a lot of energy, but the space is as big as a point. You want that in an open space. Can you imagine if you're very, very tense and now you have space? The energy goes everywhere. And the tension can flow and the stress will not capture you. All right. Now let's do one more, but that's not necessary for you to practice while you work. The first ones are, but this one is helpful too. So it's exercise 14 in a book that we will use quite a bit. It's the Kumne. We'll use Kumne to integrate body, mind, and senses. Very simple approach. And that is, we're going to hold our breath, exercise 14. Hold your breath. Like 1, 2, 3. Hold. You hold a little longer. So while you hold the breath, everything comes to life. A little longer. You can practice up to a minute. And release. However the breath goes. So with this exercise, everything comes to life. Your energy, the senses begin to sparkle. And the mind becomes aware. In stress, there's not much happening in the body except adrenaline, anxiety or upsetness, anger. The senses are very narrow because we don't see any possibilities. And the mind is jumping from one to the other. What can I do? What needs to be done? Who is to blame? Blah, 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 blah. And with just holding the breath, the mind becomes more like a sensor. All right, while we are a little bit relaxing, I suggest a short reflection. So you may want to close your eyes or look at our red background. So first of all, feel your body. And that means, can you bring your attention to the top? Always start from the top down when you want to relax. When you want to take on a quality, it's from the bottom on up. We'll do later. So the top of the head, as if you go down the body with your attention. As if you were soaping yourself or putting some lotion on the whole body, not on your hair obviously, but you go down. Whole body, you go down. And your abdominal area is very important. And the creases where the leg meets the trunk. Go down the thighs and the knees. It is very difficult to be stressed when there is body awareness. So body awareness is your trump card. It will always work. When you're upset, you're guaranteed only in the head or only in the belly. All right, now close your eyes. Can you go back to a moment in your work or in a project or in a sports activity or maybe even a family outing, but try some project that you felt very good. The project was well, everybody was participating. Oh, I gave away something. Participation is really the antidote to stress. Participate. So, go back to a situation that was really exciting. It was going very well. Look for details. The more details, the better. Where were you? What was it? What was the setting? Who were there? Now feel the experience in the body. So you have all the images, but don't go too much with the images. The images are to get going. Now go to the body. The experience in the body of that good time. Just feel. Now, can you feel it in your hands? Change takes place through feeling. Feeling means the experience in the body. We call that feeling. So any change must take place through feeling. If you feel something, you become it. All right. Now, often the experience that people would report when they have some reflection like this is it depends a little bit on you, but some people love to work well under a deadline. I'm one of those people. To work together with a team, have a deadline that we all embrace. Everybody cares for each other. That's the interesting part. So the stress doesn't have much chance if you can care and you feel cared for. Now if you say, well, I first want to be cared for and then I care, that won't work. But it happens spontaneously. Whoever participates wholeheartedly will care. You don't need an extra step. Oh, now I'm going to take care. No, participation, wholehearted participation. Yes, you can count on me. I carry the ball. Yes, I will do it. Can you do this for me? That exchange, that collaboration is very heartwarming. So heartwarming is kind of the most subtle antidote for stress. There's no heartwarming exchange or energy going on. So if there's no heartwarming, we are going in the direction of stress. So another person would say, well, it was just lovely. We worked together on this project. We sat around the table and we could exchange points of view. So the collaboration, it's kind of the same, but it's not necessarily a deadline. It's just everybody was heard and everybody could speak. And people build on one another. Meaning, whatever you say, I use that and I make something out of that. So you were important. And the others were important too. So if you genuinely feel that your opinion is valued, then you naturally will value other people's opinion. That's difficult. If you have a bullying boss, then no time, that's always the excuse, no time. People don't realize if you take time, you get time. If you don't take time, you won't have time. So take some time and you will get more time. So if you take time together, if you have a good time together, of course you have a very positive experience. Now, I do not know why, but people are much more inclined to share their difficult times than their good times. There are exceptions, right? If you have a group of people sitting around a table, for example, talking about sports, I've seen this many times. Oh, they get so excited and they're so uppity together by something they remembered in this and this minute or this inning in baseball, or that happened and that happened. Everybody is having a good time. And the reason for that is that everybody is focused on the same thing. So it's not necessarily a deadline, although that plays a major role in sports too. But when everybody is focused on something, like you're practicing for a play or a choir, people have the best times from that. Why? It's because everybody is tuned in together on the same point, the same melody, the same phrase, the same work. So as soon as there is a joint focus, people will feel good, not only about what's happening, but about themselves. A stressful person has lost the connection with feeling good about herself. And that's where the care comes in. That's where we want to care for each other. It's very hard to not feel good about yourself, not in an ego way or image way, but feel good in your contribution, in your work and what you're doing. That what you do makes a difference. You want to feel good about that. So I think stress is not only because the client is pressuring us, not only because there's a deadline. I think underneath the stress is because we don't matter. We are afraid we don't matter. Of course, we are stressed because we think we cannot do it. That's one form. We have so many challenges, we're afraid we cannot do it. But the real stress is to be disconnected from ourselves, from our natural warmth, our natural care, our natural wanting to work, wanting to participate. So if we're disconnected from that simply because of patterns of conditioning, there's no other reason. So if we can re-establish this link with ourselves, stress will change. So, and finally, before we have a short break, to think that there is a stress-free zone, that if I do it right, there will not be stress, that's a big trap. First of all, we don't know the difference between tension and stress. If we think like that, so tension is normal, of course. Opportunities, possibilities, they don't last, they change, all of that is tension. But to think that you can be in a relationship or be at work or do anything meaningful without tension, that's impossible. So many times, at work when I would meet people in a commercial setting, now forgive me, the lower level management, they would love to be in what they call their comfort zone. That's a different zone that we will talk about in this program. I would like to be in a comfort zone. That's very unfortunate because it doesn't exist. If you're in a comfort zone, then you really don't matter very much. You're in control and everything gets done, but it's certainly not living up to your potential. So transforming stress into well-being is not so much developing our potential, learning to be stress-free, but is to establish a sense of well-being in which our inner potential can be disclosed. So we're releasing our potential. We are creating the conditions for the release of your potential. When your potential is bottled up, that is stress. So when you feel stress, it really tells you, my potential is bottled up. I left my power, my creative energy at the door. Not, oh, poor me, but good, now I know. All right, let's have a 10-minute break, and then we go to the final part of this first session. We are back for the second part of the first session. So first, a little bit general information. Number one is, when we start the other sessions, it will be 4 hours. We will have 3 sessions with 2 little breaks. So we have a session, a break, a session, and a break, and the final session. So every day we will have 3 sessions in 4 hours. The second one is that I would highly recommend that you try. If you don't like it, that's fine. But try to listen to the line-by-line reading of Tartantuku's book, Skillful Means. There's some commentary. We go read line by line, and it might help you to build a foundation of understanding. I mean, we have to have understanding. We cannot just practice non-stress and say, oh yeah, now we know non-stress, but we need to have a foundation of understanding. And also, this program is for 2 kinds of participants. The first one is for people who will become trainers, who aspire to become trainers. And of course, we are very happy about that, because then these teachings will spread. And the second group is people who participate for the love of it. And of course, we're very happy for them too, that they are joining us. Because it will translate in their daily lives, in their professional life, in their private life. So we have specific suggestions for the trainer during the program. The trainer will be asked to work with the webinar, with the audios, with the webinar notes. All of you will get notes of these meetings, plus your own notes, and the line-by-line reading. And then there is a lot of complementary materials that we are providing, like making things better and stop burnout, and so that they're learning this. But first, when you begin to present these materials, just copy, just do what you hear. And at some point, you will embody it, and then you present your understanding, the relevance that you have found. What's crucial is that we don't mix this teaching of mindfulness at work, transforming stress into well-being, with any other teachings. A trainer should be able to respond to any situation, any request through this teaching. So you don't need to apply something that you learned somewhere else. A trainer who's not well developed or well accomplished in this particular teaching will be very easy for this person, this trainer, to use something else. Oh, I do this in my own life. Oh, this works for me. Or I have heard that. No, none of that. You're always the mouthpiece of these teachings. And after a while, you're embodying the main ideas. The main idea is restore balance. And it's augmented with well-being, learning a new language, creating a new home, and a new orientation. So you want to really know those and have verified them in your life. But what is really very different component of the trainer is that we will share with people who aspire to become a trainer is how to detect, how to learn to see, to become aware of the client or the workplace or the situation, how to see what is really going on. You cannot look at the situation through your theoretical models. At some point, the theoretical models, your own experience, doesn't matter. It is you look into the situation, and the situation will tell you how to overcome the stressful tendencies. You have to learn to see that. So part of it is to learn to see. You might say to see the invisible, because it's not so obvious. It's not necessarily physical. So you look at a person and you look at the situation, and there is a way of looking that the situation will tell you what is going on. So we will develop the perception of seeing, but we will very much give attention to the perception of knowing. And this is how we do it. We have a method called questioning mind. So you learn to ask questions of your client, of the situation, and of course first of yourself. But you learn to ask questions not so much with the purpose to get an answer, but if my question is right, the situation will reveal itself to me. That's not necessarily an answer. It's certainly not an answer that comes from me. So if I would look at you, and I would be a trainer of transforming stress into well-being, and you ask me for suggestions, for advice, I will develop a certain way of being, a certain way of open perceiving, and then I will practice asking questions, and the right question will somehow pop, as if suddenly, with the right question, you or the situation begins to inform me of what is really going on. Now, it's not so important that the situation is informing me. The situation begins to inform you. So, by asking the right question, the person, the client, the project, but even a work project, if you ask the right questions, the person that is asking advice will discover that she already has the knowledge to deal with the situation in an appropriate, successful manner. So this we will practice, and of course this benefits everybody, but this will be the main tool of the trainer, is to learn to ask questions that the client will begin to discover she already has the knowledge, but was disconnected because she got into a fishnet, into a zone of being stressed. Once you're stressed, there's not much you can do. Except go back to the basis. Relaxing is the heart of the matter. Relaxing, restoring balance. So that we will present to the trainer very much, to learn to ask the right questions and learn to see. So let me present this program in a different way, briefly. Mindfulness at work. Mindful means to not forget. What should I not forget? Transforming stress into well-being is that I am not my stress. But what is really going on are two things. One is it's a matter of energy. In a stressful situation, the energy doesn't flow anymore, or only in a very limited way. It just bounces off in a very small space. A stressful person always experiences the situation in a small space. It's bouncing off like this. So a matter of energy means create more space so that the energy begins to flow. Once the energy flows through your chakras and begins to interact the inner and the outer, now you get information. Now you get different ways of being in the situation. So it's a matter of energy. If you say, how can I fix my stress? So it's a matter of energy. And the other answer is, and they go together, we will present both, is it's a matter of perception. A person who's stressed sees it only one way. There's no other ways. It's like this. Cannot see anything, cannot react anyway. You don't feel you have options. So if you open the perception, then the situation comes to life. You get new information, you get new possibilities. So the heart of the matter is energy and perception. Now the only obstacle, if I have to sum it all up, what is the obstacle? I see only one obstacle. And that is resistance. Now resistance is energy blockages translated. So if your energy is blocked, it manifests itself in resistance. Like some people say, well, I don't want to be negative, but, and then comes a whole string of negativities. So when your energy is blocked, it translates in daily life as resistance. And you can say, well, I'm not resistant, but other people are resistant. No, we are all resistant. Resistant to suggestions, and of course, ultimately, resistance for change. In this program, you do not have to change. We just make the energy flow, we open your perception, and the real you is coming more to the foreground. That's the process. And we are disclosing your potential. You are disclosing the potential because the conditions are right. Now, what I encounter often in my life, and maybe you too, is that if you come with a project, people will tell you it won't work. That won't work. I don't have enough time. So you say, shall we do this and that and that? No, I don't think that will work. And we don't have time. So that is resistance. But the person who says that doesn't feel resistant. If you would say, well, you're just resistant or negative, ooh, they don't like that at all. So you don't say that. So somehow or other, when you work with resistance in other people, the energy needs to be massaged. So you can say almost have to trick to get the person going again. So a stressed person is not malleable, is not flexible. Not flexible to your ideas, but flexible. Oh yes, I can do this. So recently there was a moment of, one of the books has been translated into the German language, and the person who translated it from Dutch and English into German. And we asked the translator, who lives in Berlin, do you have any contacts? Do you have any places where you might be able to go and ask if we can do a presentation on this book? No, I don't have time. And then a week later, she sends an email and she thinks she is helping. And she says, yes, there is a bookstore around the corner. And the bookstore does presentations, so maybe you should call her, because I don't have any time. So this fixed position, I don't have any time, rules everything. So my suggestion is, you need to go for a break once in a while. Just walk around the block and go to the bookstore and say that you translated the work and that the author is coming and could this book be presented. And the bookstore might do it because you, the translator, you're living around the corner. He or she would like to help you, like to be involved with you. And the person might say, yes, of course, a presentation works. And the translator that doesn't have any time now has a nice exchange, maybe 5 minutes, with the bookstore owner and goes back more refreshed and will work better. So that you don't see those possibilities anymore, that you actually might have a good outing, something that would actually nourish you. The book presentation is not the point of this example. The point is that once you are stressed, there is just no way to nourish yourself, to be creative, and to be open to other ideas. So my experience is that resistance is the main obstacle. Sometimes, especially in younger people, maybe it shows up as a kind of laziness. That is somewhat the same, but that's not in the stress situation. The stress situation is resistant to change, resistant to new ideas. And then at some point, you have to give up because you cannot change everything. You have to change. So when I look at the case studies, there are quite a few that describe the difficult situation that they are in. Nothing personal, but the politics are hard, the economy is bad, there's no jobs, there's no this, there's no that. But in our teachings, those are facts. You cannot change the politics in the country. You can, once every year, every 4 years, you change, you vote. And maybe you go to some meetings to share your opinion. But in your stressful situation, there's only one project, and that is you. You have to go here. This is the site, S-I-T-E. This is the site for change. So wherever the stress is taking place, that is the place where you have to work. So if you feel very stressed by all these external conditions, there's nothing you can do about it. Only this, your sight, your body, your experience is where the change can take place. So let's do a short practice. We do work with the body because we want to get into the body. We want the energy to flow. So we do a short Kumne practice, 2 actually, and then we do a reflection and see if that is of help. So the first exercise, is hold on to your knees, sitting straight. Are you breathing in the belly? Well-being begins with breathing in the belly. You can flow everywhere energies, but if it's not going in the belly, it will not sustain. Every part of the body is a source of energy and a source of information. You will know things differently when the belly and the heart are involved. So we do short practice. The right shoulder comes forward, the left goes back. You use your right hand inside the knee to push your right shoulder forward and the left goes back. Only one time. So the body is a little bit resistant probably. So well, can we go back? And this is good enough. This will do. We often hear ourselves say, this will do. This is good enough. No, go a little further. So you start kind of playing with yourself. This is not good enough. It is good enough, but why not go a little further? And slowly release. We move very slowly because the holding of energy, which shows as resistance, needs time to melt. So going in the opposite direction. So the movement makes it looser. Loosening up is number one. But if you go too fast, it doesn't have the time to start flowing again. So resistance means the energy is blocked. The energy is on hold. Wherever the breath doesn't go, the energy is on hold in the heart, in the abdominal area. Left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Gently release. In these Kumne exercises, we push ourselves a little bit, but it comes from a loving attitude. Back to the center. It comes from a self-encouragement. So whatever you feel now in the body, that means the stress is beginning to melt. You will be less resistant if the energy flows. Now we move on to the next one. And don't do this if you're pregnant or you have a neck or back injury. You just do the first part, which is important. You hold firmly to your knees. Maybe your arms are straight. Now this is good enough if you have a weak neck or back. But if you can, the chest comes a little bit forward, going up. The head goes about 3/4 back. Your mouth drops open. So go to the edge, not straining, but to the edge of, yeah, this is how far I can go. And then in your imagination, your energy goes a little further. Looking up. Very gently release. Release the pressure of the hands in the back. Loosen up the neck a little bit. Sitting very still. So in the beginning, let's close our eyes. But later on, we have to learn to do this with our eyes wide open. Because the outer world is our world too. So close your eyes and sit very still. So here comes the beginning. Instead of continuing your thoughts, can you direct that attention of thinking, can you direct that to the body and the experience within? We're looking for the inner experience. If you feel anything, that's called a feeling. They need to be coming to the foreground, flowing, expanding feelings. Stress patterns begin to melt. So if it's true that you are not your stress, what are you then? Well, you is the flowing energies in the body. You is awareness. And you is a promise to make the most out of life, the most out of each situation, to manifest your purpose for being here. Now, while you sit there closely, we do a short reflection. Can you see yourself at work or at your main activity? Like, for example, if you take care of kids or the house, then you look at that. If you have a job, you look at the work. So look at the setting. The more details, the better. Is there a desk? Other desks? The space you're in. If it's at home, then see yourself in a home setting. And I'm going to ask 3 questions, and all you do is to look. You do not interpret or evaluate or make it meaningful. So look at yourself at work or your main activity situation. Look at yourself. What strikes you about your bodily posture? Don't start thinking about it, just look at what strikes you about your bodily posture at work. The second question is, what strikes you about how you speak? Are you holding back? Are you asserting yourself? Are you impatient? Are you giving up? What strikes you about your speech? And finally, what strikes you about the quality of your thoughts while you're working in that setting? What kind of thoughts are you having? Now, what struck you is not the real you. How you bodily moves or sits, or how you speak and what you think, those are patterns. So use your creative imagination. What would it be like if there was vitality and comfort in the body? If the speech was how you would like it to be? And if the qualities of thoughts would be inspiring to you and others, what would you be like? Indulge a little bit, like really imagine and feel. The change comes through feeling. How does that change feel in the body? So we are back. I hope that little reflection was helpful. Make sure that what you see, that you feel it. You're taking care of the stressed person, just like you can take care of a child or a parent, a situation. Now we're going to take care of us, you. You're going to take care of you. You're going to encourage you, you're going to inspire you, you're going to accept you, you're going to support you. And don't focus too much on the stress. Focus more on well-being, just breathing. a little bit of exercises. As soon as you feel in the body, the stress is beginning to melt. Now, and finally, before the next session, I would recommend that you take some time to do things that make you feel good. Because the real healing from stress to openness is through joy. In these teachings, at least, that's what we advocate. So remembering joy, orienting to joy. So can you think of joyful memories? They're all there. Some people say, I don't have any. There's nothing joyful. That's not true. You have had many, but they may have been covered over by the situation becoming stressful. So go back to joyful moments, because that heals the blockage. The blockage shows up as emotions, shows up as resistance. There is no better healer than to activate the flow of experience, which we call feeling. And one way to do that, yes, is by doing exercises. But in daily life, it's to focus on joyful memories, joyful experiences. And they're small. It doesn't have to be big. Something that you enjoy, do that. If you say, well, I really don't know what that will be, well, make a small project and get results. You will feel the joy of finishing something. So please indulge a little bit in joyful memories, joyful activities. Joy is the healer. Thank you very much. See you in our next session.